Hey guys, Mike here. So another day, another new all-time high. We're still on the Qs, I believe. The S&P, I think, actually ended flats for the day, but the Qs were much stronger, with tech leading the way and a lot of S&P sectors red for the day. And so we'll get into a lot of charts. Talking about Tesla again. Look at that right there, left for dead. Here we go. But it was funny. What actually started really pumping it, probably around 11 o'clock, was something Elon Musk was talking about, and it wasn't even an official statement or anything, but it was hilarious. But so I'll bring that to you as well. We will go over Amazon. Somebody was asked about that yesterday in the comments, and then a few others. But I will start off with this right here because there are things happening. One's in the Treasury Department. Don't fret. And people make it out to be a big deal. I'll explain to you why. I don't really think it is. It could be, but again, it's very early on with this. But another thing is, I pretty much think at this point in time, this is another indicator that's almost useless, right? The AAII U.S. investor sentiment, and the reason why is because it's become so politicized at this point in time. Because I saw one breaking this down between parties, and it's like, whatever party's in power, the other party now is voting no, 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 it's not going to be up 6 months from now, all that fun stuff, and vice versa. So again, because look where we're at, and we're basically neutral at this point in time. And something else that happened today was the U.S. 5-year note auction happened today. And you can see we had the lowest amount of foreign buyers in 3 years. Okay, so of course people are like, oh my God. And the funny thing is, even the most important ones, which are the 10 and 30 year, now you can see the 30-year yield. I mean, this thing right here is holding, right? It's back at these super high levels that were back in 08, 09. US 10-year, which is extremely important. It's holding up here, pretty well. So they're not really dropping or anything, not skyrocketing, which is a good thing. Holding steady. Just want to put that out there first before I address the whole bond issuance and stuff. When you come over here and look at what I told you guys would decide the next move, which has been up so far, right? It's going to be the volatility in the bond market, which doesn't exist. Okay, we came down here, we bounced a little bit, we're still holding this lower area right here. And so, something to keep in mind. Again, usually it stair steps up, stair steps down. We're in the stair step phase. But again, if this pops, we are in August, September, then absolutely the market's going to correct, right? I mean, 3%, 5%, whatever it is, but it is going to happen. But when it comes to bond issuance, definitely we'll watch the 10-year bond auction, that fun stuff. But really, remember, I told you before, the government is preemptively making moves on this already. Okay, I think they may see this coming because remember, even with all these trade deals that go into place, if countries and their companies have higher tariffs or whatever, and they have to pay it to bring their stuff in this country, and it puts stress and it slows down their economies, they're less likely to be buying our bonds and our debt and stuff like that. So what they already do, start deregulating the banks, saying, oh, you don't have to hold that much capital over here. You can just start buying more bonds. We'll free space up. What does the Treasury do? Biggest bond purchase ever. What does the Fed? Just kind of sitting there chilling for now. But of course, if something comes up, they'll step in too. So again, it's kind of funny to think like we literally just shift money around our government and go, everything's good. Here we go. We issue debt, and then this other agency buys the debt and all that fun stuff. But I think they've already kind of seen this coming. Again, we'll watch the next time we have a 10-year bond auction, how that goes. But that's kind of what I think about that. And again, just watch the volatility in the bond market. That's all you got to watch. If that's good, yeah, things are pretty good. Don't mean the market's going straight up or nothing, but it's not falling off a cliff. Now, looking again, new 52-week high, new all-time highs. I mean, it was definitely semiconductor day, boy. NVIDIA, AMD had a great day today. You see all the defense sectors. A lot of this has to do with the trade deal with EU, especially the defense contractors and stuff. But again, you see Oklo again, no kind of revenue to speak of whatsoever. Ulta again, Wayfair again, Warner Brothers again, Toast up there. And so, many different sectors for sure. Tesla, of course, finally filled the gap. And so we can mark that one out of the way. Again, we have some draws up here a little bit higher. If it wants to continue to go up there, down below right there, you can clearly see. I just keep putting these boxes in and we keep hitting them. So I'm just going to keep putting them in and we'll see which way it wants to go. But what you really need to do is you got to get above 331. If you get above 331 and close, it can open up the door to 345. Okay, but that is a key. We didn't do that today. Once we filled the gap, we sold off immediately, just stayed there. And so again, down below, some liquidity if it needs it between like 309, 313. And as usual, we always look at the options flow, right? So of course they started off buying it and then it kind of faded out. But then right here, you see that pop right there? and then they kept buying it up, and it was Elon talking. I don't even know what platform he was on when he was talking, but he was talking about Optimus, and he's like, "Oh, we're planning on rolling out, hundreds in 2025, but then we're going to, ramp up to billions in 2026, and that's worth trillions of dollars and all that stuff." And I mean, it wasn't an official statement or nothing. People were like, "Oh," and then of course social media started blowing up with it, and here we go. And which, I mean, anybody knows anything about business knows that's not how you ramp up a product, but still, I think we all know that's for naught. I mean, I was laughing because we just came off an earnings call. It was a total opposite of that. So, I think they would put that out on the earnings call, which was just had, right? Versus just him just talking on social media about it. But it was funny to watch it happen and everything, but it got the gap fill. So, there you go. There we are. And again, if nothing else happens, what are we doing? We're just wedging. Just waiting for the bigger explosive move. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So that's what Tesla's doing right now. It just keeps wedging right here, stuck in this range for now. And we'll see what the calls take us tomorrow. Now, AMD, big day, man. This thing just rocketed up, broke out of this channel, hit the next line right there around the 174.25 mark right there. You can see the next line's up like 187.82. And so, I mean, it's been a big move. Remember, earnings aren't until next week on this thing. So far, it is absolutely priced to perfection. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is for sure. I can remove this line down here because it's already broke out of that. But, looking at it, you're looking at the whole 169 right there. If it does want to come down at all, 163.97, that's to the downside if we end up getting some kind of pullback this week at all before earnings. That's what you're looking to hold. But again, it's just amazing to watch these semiconductors continue to go higher and higher. And this AI just continue to just grind up. NVIDIA, new all-time high as well. It's at the top of the channel right here. So I broke out of it once. And I'm just really watching the midline of that channel to hold and everything. This doesn't report for quite a while. You can see the fib level 170.49. We want to see if that holds for sure. Next level up, if it wants to keep going up around like 179.50 on this thing. Look over here at ASML, got this W pattern going. This is one of the ones that benefited from the EU trade deal. Remember why they pulled guidance? Because of tariffs. They weren't sure on the demand, things like that. So it got a little pump today off of that right there. Because the tariffs technically were lower down, and I believe that the semiconductors will actually put a 0% rate, and so that's even better for them. So now you got a gap below, you got liquidity above right there as well. Another gigantic gap to be filled from the earnings call right there. I'm not saying anything's like all clear or anything, but remember this company is one of the very few. They kind of have a monopoly on what they do, and there was some news out about that today. So we'll see if we're finally going to just continue to grind and trend up. I would love to see the gap, some of that gap get filled right below there. That would be nice. If you look at the fibs, you can pull a fib bar from the top all the way down right here to the April crash right there. Hit the 0.5 fib. That's where we're bouncing. So you got in that discount, and now it's moving back up right there. And so, it's like I said, and I believe it was in a Saturday video, maybe not this week, maybe I guess it was this week, when somebody's asking about ASML and stuff, and it stopped at the right place. We pulled the volume range, volume profile. You can see it held where it needed to hold. You can clearly see the level right there, even without pulling the volume range, volume profile up. And now it's getting this bounce kind of coming through this gap right here. We'll see what happens when we get up here to the 742, 744 area right in there, which should provide some resistance right there. But once you get above that, not a lot of resistance just because of the way it moved up and stuff. So this thing, it can absolutely move. I wish they'd do some kind of stock split, and I hate the options suck on that stock, by the way. Can't stand that. TDD, we talked about this because you guys kept asking. A member kept asking. You guys kept asking. So I've covered this in multiple videos, like Saturday videos. Good risk reward there. Got the pop up out of the gap. Once it retraced the 0.5 fib, now it's in the bigger gap above that big earnings gap right there. And so, we'll pull the volume or visible range volume profile up on this one. You can see why I said that was a good risk reward, because you had support below and it can just fly through these gaps right here. And so again, I would say you're probably looking at this thing, well, 98's next, but not really, because when you pull up the moving averages, the 200 challenge is next, the 200 retest. And so again, that should provide resistance unless something gaps it above it. And so if you get rejected, not that big a deal at first, but once you break through, then you're looking around that 98 mark on TDD, the trade desk right there. So good question from you guys about that one, but that was what I was looking at on that one. So I hope that matches up with what you were looking at. Now, Nike, just the update on this one right here. I always like to do this for Nike shareholders because I've gotten so many questions over the last year and a half about Nike. and glad to see shareholders who've been holding for a long time finally get some of their money back. Remember, it's all about the anchor VWAPs on this one on my chart. You can see we came up, rejected an anchor VWAP, retested the 200 moving average multiple times, bounced, now finally broke above this other anchor VWAP, which was resistance for a long time. And so now we're above that. Can we hold it? That's what we're looking for. 85.40, excuse me, is the next anchor VWAP, which at one point in time was resistance for quite a while as well. And so watch out for that one. It did climb back in this channel, which goes back to 1994. And so that is a good thing. It finally broke through that resistance. So nothing bad about that. And again, this could be off the 90-day pause on the trade deal with China, all that fun stuff. We'll see if it can hold or not. But we'll see if it's going to stay in this channel, right? That's what we're looking for. Okay, it's not a tech stock. It still has a boatload of freaking problems as a company. But again, if Tesla can move up off that terrible earnings call, why can't Nike? And so we'll see how much of this is the 90-day pause and how much is actually Nike. Don't be surprised to see Google pop up from here because it's famous for, popping up on the earnings and then giving some of it back and then starting to move back up, because this is still, when you look at the others, it's lagging, right? Still got that gap to be filled, still has not got the all-time highs, so do not be surprised if this continues to move. If we continue to get this grind higher, Google should participate as long as it holds that trend line right there. There is room below if we do want to come down. There's some liquidity to be had right there, but right now I would say look to the upside on this one. Amazon, somebody asked me about this one, and I was telling members about this. So that used to be that gap, right? We put it in here a long time ago, filled it to the penny, sold back down, so we took that out. So now we don't have that gap anymore. We broke out of that little channel, rising channel right there. And so right there, that little box up there, that is a daily fair value gap, which needs to be mitigated, which is right below all-time highs. This one reports this week, so I think that's what's going to decide this one. Obviously, it's not as high a flyer as a lot of them, but again, that's about a 4% move up. And so earnings will decide exactly where this is going. So we're going to move to that point in time, go to all-time highs, break a new one, or come down here and grab some liquidity right here between like 228, 231 right there and mitigate that one. And so let's see what happens. Again, you don't want to break that like 223.75 area is what you're looking at on Amazon. So hopefully that makes sense. But, right now there's a smaller trend line, which kind of coincides with that as well. So we'll see how earnings are going to come out. You think they'll come out, decent, I would think. But, it's depending on how the market wants to accept it. Now, speaking of earnings, for tomorrow, you have United Healthcare, SoFi, PayPal, Boeing, UPS, Spotify, Merck, P&G in the afternoon, Visa, Marathon Digital, Starbucks, Booking Holdings, Cheesecake Factory, and Caesars down there. We'll see if people are still gambling or not. And then when you look over at the moves, SoFi, United Healthcare have big moves. Between 9 and 10% are projected. PayPal's around 8%, UPS 7, Starbucks 8, and the rest of them you see below. And as far as data, we'll have JOLTS job opening at 10 a.m. So after the bell, CB consumer confidence, and then of course you can see the next day is going to be loaded with data and the FOMC meeting. So anyway, a little bit shorter video. For sure you appreciate that. And I'd appreciate if you would hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. As always, guys, want to sign up for membership, less than McDonald's combo at $7.99. Just hit the first link in the bottom of the description. That's everything you get with it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another fun win.